in Clinton, New York. Who would like to go and establish the work?
Right, that's a good question. We were working for a synagogue in doing youth and teen programming in Palm Beach, and we loved what we were doing. But we always wanted to do something else. You're not really called upon anymore. It used to be you were called upon, but now the movement's so big and it's become almost fashionable to do this kind of crazy work, and unconventional work, and so we always wanted to sort of dedicate ourselves to students. We liked that demographics more than anything. We liked that there was a small Jewish community here too, or Jewish population, I shouldn't say community, that we could sort of get to know. There is a small Jewish community too, so we sort of, it was all, we like to say God's hand, others would say coincidence, but it was sort of, we found one thing after another, and before we knew it, we found this college and we thought there was something to be done here.
So just kind of looking back on it, it wasn't just one particular thing, but a kind of a number of things that kind of led to this. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we were looking at a number of colleges, and this is the one that just happened to be.
Fantastic, and you get to come to Central New York in the winter. I'll never get over that. That's but you are right. So far, it's been very mild. So you've the divine providence.
And my kids love it.
Do they really?
So who cares?
Well, talk a little bit about your family. When you say, hey, we're going to go to Clinton, did you discuss this beforehand and kind of work it out with the family, or what were their thoughts before the move?
I told my wife it was in Florida. No, I'm kidding. It's something we both wanted to do. My kids are only 3 and 1.5, so they had very little opinion in the matter. And I was worried because my son loved sunbathing and hanging out. He lived across the road from the beach, so it was really the place to be. But he absolutely loves the snow. Loves it. He spends more time out there than he spent outside. Because Florida's hot, let's be honest. I don't like the heat either. So he spends a lot of time in the snow, building snowmen. He even puts a yarmulke on his snowman. It's very serious stuff. So we love it.
Fantastic. Well, you won't have to worry about heat for the next, Rick, 7 or 8 months? It should be pretty good. That's when the heat kicks in here in Central New York. Well, Rabbi, another one of the reasons we brought you on was to talk about the Hanukkah celebration that's going on, and maybe elaborate on Hanukkah, what it is, and then how it's celebrated, maybe specifically in your household or in the Jewish community in the Clinton area.
Okay, great question. In very, very brief, the story of Hanukkah, I just want to get the exact years and everything because I hate making things up, but I don't have them, so it's okay. But around 2,000 years ago, while the Jews populated what is now Israel, there was the entry of the Assyrian Greeks with their king Antiochus. I don't know many of the English names, I apologize. But the Assyrian Greeks came and they had a Hellenistic way of life, a very pagan way of life, and it was very not spiritual and not holy, and more about the human body, and about, it was, I guess, the then secularists, if you will. And at the beginning, they didn't come to fight. They came to simply assimilate the Jews into their culture, which is quite interesting. They came to another land and they tried to assimilate the locals. But and they managed to do that to a great extent because the Jews loved that kind of thing, many of them. And many of them did assimilate, and Jewish culture and religion was almost lost. And then some of the Jews started to fight back. Matisyahu and his children, they said, no, we have to stay Jewish and we have to keep our tradition. And they had no problem with that, our rabbis say. Their problem was that it shouldn't be holy and sanctified. In other words, we have the holy day of the week. They couldn't stand that. There's no such thing as a holy day. Every day is the same. Every person's the same. You can, have relations with who you want. You can eat what you want. Nothing is sanctified or different or special. And that was the core concept of what the Jews were fighting for during this period of time. And then it became a war. And when they won the war, one of the symbolic things that happened is to light the menorah in the temple, you needed oil. And the oil had to have sort of a kosher stamp. I'm too fast?
No, you're doing very well.
It needed to have a kosher sign from the high priest of the temple. And so they couldn't find one that had that because the Assyrian Greeks had defiled the temple and had broken all the seals. They found one and they lit it, knowing that it wasn't going to last more than one day, and it would take them about 8 days to get new oil because they had to travel, make it, and come back. And
there's no
miracle.
FedEx back then, no UPS,
FedEx.
No, this is...
And USPS you can't trust. No, I'm kidding. So they lit it, and there's many different versions on what happened, and it lasted 8 days. That's the, so to speak, the miracle. So the main miracles are that we won the war, and that we were a tiny little army against a very organized big army, well-funded army, and that they tried to sort of extinguish the light of Judaism, and it continued to shine, and the same thing happened with the actual oil. And so we celebrate that by lighting candles for 8 days, and each day we light one more. So we start with one, and today we're up to, last night we lit 6, tonight we'll light 7. And then we talk about the miracle that happened. It's not a biblical holiday, it's a rabbinic holiday, which means that's why I'm allowed to talk on the radio on a regular Shabbat, Sabbath, on any other holiday. I don't drive, I don't do anything. This is a holiday that you can basically do everything except for enjoy. We don't go to services, special services necessarily.
Okay.
But it's become a very celebrated holiday, and there's many theories on why that has happened. Primarily because Jews in America have competition called Christmas, so we need our own holiday. But I don't think it's because of the significance, and if we're already celebrating it, we may as well talk about the significance of the